Hey, how's it going? Story time. Give you a little background into who or what Two Boxes, One Check is about. Two Boxes, One Check is basically a play on every time we go to a restaurant as a lesbian couple. They always say one check or two. And then my wife always goes into a diatribe about that's why she married me, so I can pay all her bills. Um, of course, that's not why, that's a joke. But we met about 4 years ago. We both live lives, heterosexual lives, married to men, raising children. Her for 19 years, me for 25. Um, but we both have completely different stories. I have always been who I am. I always thought I was bisexual, but I'm obviously old, right? So I come from a time where that it wasn't a thing. I mean, it was a thing, but it wasn't a thing that was easy to do if you wanted to do all the other things. All the supposeds in life. You're supposed to do this. You're supposed to do that. As a girl growing up, you're supposed to find a man to marry and have children with, and the whole house with the white picket fence and 2.5 kids and blah blah blah. I did all the supposeds, even though I always knew that I like to do all the things all the time. But I married one of my best friends, knew him my whole life. He knew me, I knew him, backwards and forwards. We knew all each other's BS. I never wanted to get married, but I got married because I wanted kids. And unfortunately, back in the 90s, as a single woman who was already going to a fertility specialist because I was wondering why I wasn't getting pregnant, but I was trying, you know what I'm saying? I was trying. And it wasn't happening. It did happen once, a miscarriage, all the things. I have all the lady problems. That's for another time. So going to a fertility specialist in order to go to the next level of fertility assistance that I needed a signature from my husband, which at the time I did not have. So I went to one of my besties, the only one of my guy friends. Like, back in the day, you fooled around with friends and, Anyway, he, of course, wanted to marry me and thought that it was a great idea and we should do this and have kids together and the whole thing. So we did. It took about 2.5 years to have our first, and then we had the formula. We had another one 2 years later, a month short of 2 years later. And then my daughter was a surprise, natural conception. So there's a whole storyline to that as well. Anyway, I digress. I always knew who I was. My bestie, which became my husband, knew who I was. And, throughout the years, marriages, relationships, without everybody going too deep into it, things happen, and he was okay with it. He benefited. You know what I'm saying? But as my children got older, I really started wanting a wife. I mean, literally, I would joke and say it all the time, that I needed a house witch, that I needed a wife of my own, that yada yada, which, by the way, I recommend. If there are any women out there that have ever said to themselves they need a wife, back up from that, because you probably really do. And you probably want it more than you realize. I'm a big proponent of telling people to listen to themselves more than they listen to everybody outside of them. Anyway, I digress. As you already see, I spiderweb like crazy. It's just how my brain works. I'm a little neurospicy, if you know what I mean. But my story and who I am and how I've always been differs dramatically from my wife. She was the stereotypical late in life lesbian that lived her whole life with staunch conviction about her beliefs and how she did things, and from political to religious to all the things. She was very staunch, very conservative, and then had an epiphany one day, left her husband. The epiphany wasn't all encompassing yet, but her epiphany was that she didn't want to live the way she was living anymore, and she left. And then throughout her process, I'll let her tell her story another time. It'll be better coming from her anyway. she discovered that she was allowed to date women if she wanted to. Because as a, human individual, you're allowed to do whatever you want to do. And I encourage everyone to do so. However, she had an epiphany that she could date women. She started dating one woman, and we met shortly after. And we were very real with each other, because when we met, we were meeting on a neutral ground, platonic. We weren't trying to meet each other and be girlfriends in any way, shape, or form. We were just connecting as women, dealing with the transition of living a heterosexual normative life, and then completely doing an about face and wanting something entirely different. So we were 100% honest with each other, because we didn't have any preconceived notions or expectations. There was no bravado or falsehoods put in place to protect our ideas or emotions. We were just legit. We were completely honest, raw, and unfiltered with each other. And we found out, well, wow, there's a lot of reciprocity here. There's a lot of, you want what I have and I want what you have. So we gave it a whirl, and I fell madly and deeply in love with her, and I went against my lifelong idea of never wanting to get married. I didn't necessarily want to get married the first time, but I chose to get married because I had love and respect for my best friend, turned husband, turned divorce partner, still my bestie. Still one of my very closest people, and I love and adore him and have full respect for him, and we will always be family. However, now he's remarried to a wonderful lady, and I'm remarried to a gorgeous, fabulous woman. And life is good. We have a lot to talk about. But I'm putting this out there just to let you know basically who I am. I was a normative, heterosexual, married woman who raised 3 children, adopted a few along the way that, they were older, whatever, no, more stories. Anyway, lots of experiences, lots of chapters, been there, done it, got the t-shirt type stuff, and I'm looking forward to connecting to other people that have similar situations. Maybe somebody just needs that push into, you're allowed to be and do whoever you want to be and do. I think that might be the biggest premise. But along the way, Nina and I have a lot of stories. And Nina's story of coming out and coming to the realization that she was a lesbian is wild. Wild. So buckle up. Let's start some conversations. Bye.